The setting of the first part immediately paints a picture of a cold, brutal world Mora V, a planet designed not for life, but for banishment. This planet functions like a galactic gulag, a place where unwanted beings are discarded and left to die slowly in a frozen wasteland. Its climate is not merely inhospitable, it's lethal. Winds howl like tortured spirits, and the sub-zero temperatures are capable of shattering metal and killing unprotected beings in minutes. This opening makes it immediately clear. Survival here isn't just hard, it's impossible. In this cruel place. The story zooms in on Isilra, a once noble member of the Vayari Ascendancy, a powerful and technologically advanced alien race known for its cold governance and rigid hierarchy. Isilra is no longer royalty or officer, she's now a fugitive, hunted and cast out by her own people for reasons not yet revealed. She has been stripped of all dignity, reduced to nothing more than a mother trying to keep her child alive against the odds. Inside a small, ice-swept cave buried under snow, Isilra clings to her daughter, Tylee, a small infant alien barely able to keep warm. Their supplies are gone. Food is long exhausted. The last thermal cell in her clothing flickers out, its dull orange light fading to nothing. Cold creeps in, biting deeper and deeper into her skin and joints. Every breath becomes painful, her lungs constricting as ice forms in the air around them. Isilra faces a terrible choice, a mother's ultimate heartbreak. She knows she is going to die, but she hopes just barely that maybe if she gives her last layer of insulation to her daughter, the child might live a little longer. It is not a rational decision. There is no logic to it. There is only the desperate hope of a mother who refuses to let her baby's first and last experience be suffering. She unwraps the last warming wrap from herself and layers it around her daughter, sealing it with trembling fingers. Her own body, now exposed, immediately begins to fail. Her skin turns pale. Her muscles shake uncontrollably. Her thoughts begin to slow not from fear, but from hypothermia. Yet despite the pain, there's also peace. Isilra isn't afraid of dying. She's afraid of dying alone. And she prays, as her vision dims, that Tylee might be spared long enough for a miracle. That miracle arrives. Suddenly, in the midst of silence and falling snow, a sound breaks through alien to this landscape. Footsteps. Heavy, deliberate, human, then warmth. A presence enters the cave, casting a faint glow of orange light, artificial heat, powered by Terran tech. A figure kneels down and speaks in a language she barely understands, but the tone is unmistakably gentle, almost angry at the situation rather than at her. "Hey, don't move. I've got you." The voice belongs to Cooper J. Rames, a Terran. A human male. He doesn't question why she's here. He doesn't check her species registry or ask for identity codes. He doesn't look away in disgust or treat her like a fugitive. Instead, he removes his heated jacket, wraps her and her child in it, activates a portable thermal field, and begins emergency revival. He curses the cold, curses himself for being late, and works with practiced hands. Isilra, half conscious and not even sure if this is real, feels the warmth seep back into her. Her thoughts, slowed to near death, spark slightly. Her daughter stirs, whimpers, and then breathes deeper. For the first time in weeks, maybe in her whole life, Isilra experiences what mercy feels like. And the fact that it comes from a human, the most unpredictable, contradictory, yet compassionate species in the galaxy, changes something inside her. Shifts the narrative perspective from the alien mother Isilra to the human rescuer, Cooper J. Rames, and explores the choices, personality, and instincts of the man who saved her. We learn that Cooper is not part of any galactic navy or official rescue team. He's a Terran salvager, an ex-military man turned independent contractor for the Galactic Recovery Guild. Salvagers roam the outer systems looking for wrecks, derelicts, black box signals, and lost tech to trade or report. Their work is dangerous, especially in uncharted or restricted zones. Most salvagers avoid planets like Mora V too cold, too isolated, too forgotten. But Cooper isn't most salvagers. What brought him to Mora V was a faint signal a come. Signature buried in the ice, so old and weak it shouldn't have been picked up. But it was Veari tech, and Veari systems don't just get lost. They get buried, erased, or wiped when the Ascendancy wants something hidden. Intrigued and suspecting something valuable or dangerous, Cooper pursued it. What he found was something no salvager would expect. Not treasure, not war tech, not an ancient artifact, but a dying mother and her child, half buried in the snow, inside a makeshift cave just deep enough to block the wind but not the cold. Cooper's response. Instinct over protocol. Most contractors would have logged the discovery and moved on. Veari political fugitives meant trouble, and harboring one could bring heat from the Ascendancy. But Cooper acts without hesitation. His military background kicks in the same training that once taught him to rescue civilians under fire, not to ask questions and never to abandon someone just because they're alien. He yanks off his thermal coat, wraps it around Isilra and her baby, then triggers a thermal emitter, a small device built into his suit that generates enough heat to revive hypothermic victims in extreme cold. As he works, he talks, more to reassure them than to expect a reply. Don't move. I've got you. Come on, kid. Breathe for me. You're not dying today, not on my watch. His hands are firm but careful. CPR begins. He checks vitals. He administers hydration packs and warming patches. He curses the cold and even himself for being too damn slow, as if it were his fault he wasn't there sooner. When Isilra stirs, the first thing she hears is that voice, gruff, grounded, and strangely gentle. Her first glimpse is of a strange being with rough features, a square jaw dusted with frost, and eyes full of concern. Not curiosity, not suspicion. Not superiority, just concern. Her voice cracks as she whispers a single word. Why? And Cooper, in classic human fashion, doesn't give her a lecture or ask if she's an enemy. He doesn't ask her what she did to deserve this. He just shrugs and offers a soft answer. Because I was raised better than to let someone freeze to death. Especially with a kid. What makes this HFY? This moment captures one of the central pillars of HFY, human compassion, even when it's dangerous or unprofitable. Cooper didn't need a reason. He didn't need to know the politics or species. He just saw a woman and child in need and acted in a galaxy filled with bureaucratic coldness and militaristic rigidity like the Veari Ascendancy. This human warmth becomes revolutionary. Where the Veari see fugitives, Cooper sees people. Where the galaxy sees a calculated risk, Cooper sees a moral obligation. It's not strength, firepower, or strategy that defines him here. It's his humanity, shelter, and stabilization back inside his rover, a pressurized, mobile survival unit built for long-term isolation. Cooper wraps the mother and child in every spare blanket he has, activates internal heat, and begins to stabilize them. The baby, Tylee, recovers first. Her skin regains color. She begins to cry, an encouraging sound, as Cooper notes, because crying means she's breathing. Isilra's recovery is slower. Her body had been close to complete shutdown, but wrapped in warmth, hearing her daughter's cry and feeling the security of an enclosed space, her breathing deepens. She's alive. At first, silence dominates their time together. Communication is slow, stilted by language barriers and mutual suspicion. Isilra doesn't know how much Cooper knows about her or her people, and she certainly doesn't know if she can trust him. After all, her own species had betrayed her, and the galaxy was not known for its mercy. But humans, Isilra quickly learns, are different. Cooper doesn't interrogate her. He doesn't prod for secrets. Instead, he offers small kindnesses. Warm food, though to her it smells obscenely greasy, fresh water, and silence when needed. He doesn't rush her. He lets her hold her child and breathe. And in those quiet hours, the walls between them begin to fall. Building trust, they start with gestures. Cooper taps the interface on his translator implant and offers her a tablet, allowing her to type instead of speak. Isilra writes her name, then her daughter's, then a question. Why did you come? Cooper responds with a shrug, as if the answer is too obvious to require explanation. Got a ping. Seemed weird. Came to check. Saw a woman and a kid freezing to death. Didn't really think about it. His honesty is disarming. There's no pretense, no manipulation, no demand for loyalty or confession. He's just there. That's all. Over time, Isilra grows more comfortable. She asks about Earth, about humans, about him. She learns that Cooper was once a Terran Marine deployed in multiple peacekeeping missions. He talks about fighting pirates near the Canthus Belt, about rebuilding cities after plasma storms, and about how he once punched a Zorak diplomat for insulting a refugee child. Isilra listens and then, eventually, she begins to speak. Isilra's past unveiled, she explains that she once held a position of influence within the Veari Ascendancy, a vast hierarchical empire known for its efficiency, cold logic, and brutality. Her role was in planetary ethics, an ironic position, considering the Veari didn't believe in compassion, only control. Isilra's downfall came when she discovered classified plans for a military campaign targeting lesser species in Fringe. Colonies, a cleansing operation, cloaked in the language of security. Billions of lives would be lost. Innocents, children, whole ecosystems wiped out in the name of order. She couldn't allow it so, in a quiet act of rebellion, she leaked information to an interstellar watchdog group. She was caught, labeled a traitor. Her child, born just weeks before, was marked for extermination, evidence of impure loyalty. With the help of a sympathetic technician, Isilra fled to the edge of the galaxy. Mora V was never the plan, it was a last-ditch escape, a place where no one would think to follow her, until she almost died in the snow. Until Cooper found her. A turning point in connection. Her confession comes late one night while Tylee sleeps, bundled beside the rover's heater. Isilra's voice trembles as she speaks, but Cooper doesn't interrupt. He listens not like a soldier or a spy or a savior, but like a human who understands regret and burden. When she finishes, he says nothing at first. Then he pours her another cup of what he calls coffee, and finally answers with something simple. You're one of the good ones. That makes you worth saving. This moment is pivotal. For Isilra, who has been told by her people that she's a criminal, a betrayer, and a disgrace, Cooper's words hit with the force of redemption. Not because he absolves her with law, but because he sees her as someone worth saving. Regardless of race, origin, or past. It's not a grand declaration. It's a human one, and that's what makes it matter. Emerging themes and emotional depth. This part of the story digs deep into two key HFY themes. Human empathy transcends species. Cooper never treats Isilra as alien. He treats her as someone in need, someone broken, yes, but not irredeemable. Trust is built slowly, but it's powerful. Through small acts of kindness and mutual storytelling, a bond begins to form. Not romantic, yet, but profoundly human. The emotional tone shifts here from survival to connection. Part 1 was about endurance. Part 2 was about rescue. But Part 3 is about healing the first flickers of hope between two people who have every reason to distrust each other. Marks the dramatic shift from healing and safety back into threat, sacrifice, and action. After the quiet emotional build-up in Part 3, this section bursts open with tension. The past has caught up, and safety, it turns out, was temporary. Storm isn't just outside anymore. The chapter begins with peace. Isilra and Cooper have settled into a routine of shared meals, quiet conversation, and caring for Tylee, who is growing stronger each day. Cooper even jokes that she's got more lungs than any 1-kilo creature should legally have. The atmosphere feels light, like maybe, just maybe, things will be okay. But Cooper's tone changes the moment the early warning sensor pings. The console flashes red. Outside, the icy horizon glows faintly as Veari hunter drones descend into the sector. Military-grade recon units designed to find fugitives and neutralize them. They don't give warnings. They don't ask questions. They kill, then report. Isilra's face goes pale. She knows these machines. She knows they aren't here to capture her. They're here to erase evidence. Her child. And Cooper. She clutches Tylee tightly. Her voice cracks. We have to run. But Cooper doesn't run. Humanity's line in the snow. Instead of panic, Cooper becomes steel. In an instant, the warmth he's shown for the past few days is gone, not erased, but replaced with the terrifying calm of a trained soldier. He grabs a duffel, pulls on a black scarred Terran exosuit, a remnant of his military past, equipped with reinforced plating, heat shielding, and built-in weapon slots. To Isilra, it's like watching him become someone else, not unkind, not cruel, just ready. You're not dying today, he says. He doesn't ask if she's scared. He doesn't explain his plan with grandeur. He just acts, human pragmatism hardened by experience. The plan: sacrifice and survival. Cooper knows they're outnumbered and outgunned. The Veari drones aren't amateurs. They're tracking experts with satellite guidance, armed with precision weapons and cold programming. So he gives Isilra two things: a beacon transponder, marked with Terran diplomatic clearance, a choice. This beacon leads to a Terran embassy on Polaris Prime. Activate it near a jump point. They'll bring you in. Use my name. It'll carry weight. Isilra is stunned. You mean for me to leave you behind? He doesn't lie. I'm gonna slow them down. If I'm lucky, I'll walk away. But if I don't, doesn't matter. As long as you two make it, she argues, pleads. But he's immovable. Then, just before she leaves, he kneels beside her and the baby. You said your people think you're impure, a traitor. I don't give a damn. You're a mother. She's a child. You deserve a life. And someone has to tell the galaxy what the Veari tried to do. The clash. Isilra flees with Tylee through a pre-programmed tunnel Cooper dug days earlier as an emergency exit. As she climbs the frozen ridge, her last glimpse of him is through a layer of snow, standing tall, alone as the sky darkens with approaching machines. Then the battle begins. Explosions light up the cave mouth. Drones screech in the cold air, moving in formation, but Cooper is prepared. With his exosuit support, he's faster and more brutal than they expect. He uses EMP grenades to disable flight systems, rail scatter rounds to punch holes through armor. He lures the bots into choke points and buries them in controlled charges. But they keep coming. Isilra, from her distant vantage, sees fire rising from the caves. She wants to turn back. She needs to, but Tylee is in her arms, crying, alive and warm. Opens not with gunfire or snow, but with light, civilization, and the soft hum of a diplomatic chamber on Polaris Prime. A central world known for its Terran embassy and neutral governance, Scott. It's been 2 cycles, roughly 2 Earth years since Isilra last saw Cooper J. Rames, the human who gave her warmth, protection, and a future. 2 years since she fled from the fire, carrying her child and the weight of a sacrifice she never wanted someone else to make. But she didn't just survive, she transformed. From fugitive to voice in those 2 years, Isilra didn't hide, she did. Exactly what Cooper told her to do used his name, reached the Terran diplomatic office, and gave a full testimony on the atrocities the Ve'ari ascendancy was preparing. The data she carried and the eyewitness reports she gave shook the galaxy's conscience, especially among the smaller, more vulnerable species long dominated by the Ve'ari regime. Terra responded not with war, not at first, but with truth, media exposure, coalition building, and diplomatic firepower. Humanity had always been unpredictable on the galactic stage, half wild, half noble. But now they became a symbol of moral clarity. A former soldier had saved a mother and a child, not because of politics, but because it was right. That story echoed across the stars. The council chamber now. Isilra stands before the United Species Council, flanked by representatives of over 30 interstellar civilizations. Her daughter, Tylee, now a toddler with curious eyes and a Terran-stitched scarf, sits on a chair beside her. In the seat next to Tylee, there is a memorial plaque, simple but powerful. Cooper J. Rames, he gave warmth where there was none. Ve'ari ambassador, cold and composed, sits across from her. He offers no emotion. The Ve'ari have since denied all accusations, claiming Isilra's data is fabricated and her account a Terran manipulation. But the tide is turning and Isilra is no longer alone. Her speech, a voice for the forgotten Isillas. Voice rings through the chamber. She does not shout. She does not accuse. Instead, she speaks plainly. She speaks of the cold, the hunger, the hopelessness. She speaks of being hunted by her own people, of watching her child slowly freeze, knowing that no help was coming. And then she speaks of him. He came from the snow like fire wrapped in flesh. He said no grand words. He didn't ask if I was worth saving. He just did it. A human, a stranger. A soldier without a war who chose to fight anyway. Her voice wavers but doesn't break. He stood alone against machines programmed to erase me. He knew the cost, and he didn't run. Silence grips the chamber. Even the Ve'ari don't interrupt. Then Isilra continues, her voice growing stronger. My daughter is alive because of him. I stand here because a human believed that life deserves a chance. You may call it sentiment. You may call it foolishness. But I call it what it is, humanity. HFY Core. The echo of human deeds. This part of the story embodies one of HFY's strongest pillars. Humans making a difference. Not through dominance, but through compassion that inspires action. Cooper didn't live to see the galaxy change. Though his fate is never definitively confirmed, his body was never recovered. But his actions had ripple effects far beyond what he could have imagined. Terra, galvanized by the quiet nobility of one of its own, began organizing diplomatic resistance to Ve'ari expansion. Other species joined, inspired by a single story of a man who died not for his planet, but for strangers. The idea of humanity fierce, irrational, stubbornly kind spread like wildfire. Tylee and the future. The final scenes return to Tylee, now a curious, strong-willed child playing near the base of the council platform. She wears a small patch on her tunic, the Terran Marine insignia, stitched in blue. She doesn't know everything yet, but Isilra has told her the stories. Not just of the cold and escape, but of Cooper. He saved you before you could ask, she says. He saw you when no one else did. That legacy lives on not in monuments or medals, but in the life of a child, And in the fire that one man lit against the ice. Closing tone, the story ends with quiet power. Not with a massive battle or the toppling of empires, but with truth, memory, and influence. HFY doesn't always need to show humans as conquerors. Sometimes, the most awe-inspiring trait is our refusal to look away from suffering. Cooper Rames didn't change the galaxy by force. He changed it by kneeling in the snow and saying, "You're not dying today,